just because you have a child in the industry, that doesn't mean that any less is expected of them. You know, they absolutely have to be on point, totally professional, you know, delivering a performance night after night because people have paid a lot of money to go and see them.
Trust your child, you know,
right?
Because they've got their job for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay? So just trust that they will be able to do it. He knows who he is through other experiences. You know, when he's training, I think you're just another one of the...
Another dancer.
Yeah, another dancer.
Yeah. A quick note. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are entirely their own and don't reflect those of the Stronger Self podcast, Sammy Arts Collective, T Films, or anyone involved in making this show. We're here to hold space for honest conversations, and that means our guests speak freely. We hope you do the same. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Stronger Self podcast. I'm Martay Mackenzie, and in this series we will explore the realities of working in the arts and what it really takes to build a creative life that lasts. Today's conversation is about something that sits just behind the spotlight. For every young performer that you see on stage and on screen, there are parents and support systems navigating the reality alongside them, balancing opportunity with responsibility and ambition with care. I am joined today by the lovely Zoë Somolu and Roger Stevens, who have both lived the experience of raising children in the industry and everything that comes with it. So thank you so much for being here with me on the couch today. Let's start from the beginning. How is it for you both as parents navigating your way through the industry with your child in this world, which can be quite difficult for youngsters?
It's absolutely knackering. I think that's the first thing. I think it's a massive family sacrifice. I think particularly if you've got a number of children. So my kids have both been in West End productions, and then one of them has gone on to do film. So it's a big commitment, and I think you have to really be aware of what that commitment is, because it can be quite shocking otherwise if you're not quite prepared for, you know, really buying into that. And I think one of the things that people perhaps don't realise is just because you have a child in the industry, that doesn't mean that any less is expected of them. You know, they absolutely have to be on point, totally professional, you know, delivering a performance night after night because people have paid a lot of money to go and see them. And for those people that are watching, it's incredibly important to them. So, yeah, I think it's a lot, but the rewards are there, clearly.
We were very lucky is that Sam's first job was with The Lion King. Mm-hmm. One, they've got humongous amounts of experience of looking after a child.
Yeah.
We had nice people that when I would pass him off at the stage door that would look after him. So that sensation of him being under pressure, I never got that from him.
Right.
And the rest of the time he was just Sam. He had to go to school. We had to take him there. That's a pressure, but at the same time we were just very excited half the time to go because it was such a great time. And also for him, it was a massive learning curve because it's quite strict, you know, and because there's a lot of moving parts.
I think particularly the boys, well, it's a certain type of child that is going to be able to go and perform on a West End stage in front of 3,000 people. They don't tend to be the wallflowers, you know, and the kids who... I think particularly the young Simbas, not casting any aspersions against your son, but I'll speak on my own behalf. You know, my son is quite outgoing. He is can be a little bit impulsive and perhaps sometimes unfocused. And so that might not always gel extremely well with that environment. But, you know, we can forgive them because they're like 8, 9 normally when they start. Exactly. So they're little.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I worked with both of your children. And to be honest... What I like about The Lion King is that some of the kids are not from, you know, stage school. They're just normal kids who have got a talent. And so if it means that discipline isn't quite there, I think that gives them that little edge, especially like playing a Simba who's a little bit like...
a little bit naughty.
It works. I mean, maybe the chaperones might disagree, but...
maybe, I'm sure.
But it does work. I mean, so how... I know, Roger, your background, you've got a background in...
I went to drama school and did a few musicals when I left and enjoyed myself. But I would say that when he was growing up, he was just silly, playful. Yeah. You know, I got him doing some ballet at the local church hall. You know, and that was the only thing that he was doing. And then a fireman friend of ours sent an advert saying, "Can your son sing and dance?" And I went, "Well, quickly record this.
Right.
Sing a song,
Yeah.
do something. I still have it. It's very funny. And I sent it off, and the next morning, the lady who was involved in casting, I can't remember her name, but she phoned and she said, "Where have you been all our lives?" So we had to go for the audition, and that was an experience for me because I've done open auditions before. Got in and sung half a line and said thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my god. But with him, I would go in the coffee shop and some kids would come out. So I'd run across the road and see if Sam had, and then he didn't. And I went to the pub and then more came out. I ran across, then came back again, and he was down to the last few.
Yeah.
But when he came out, that feeling that he had, it went so well. He loved it. He was so high. We walked all the way from, I think we were in Gray's Inn Road in London.
Yeah.
And we walked all the way back into London, Soho. And I think his feet didn't touch the floor. It was just that enjoyment of just being able to,
perform.
Yeah, perform. And that's what, with my son, that's what Sam is. He really, he turns it on. He's a great performer.
And a lovely, I mean, both of your children, I mean, when I met Sam, he just looked like my son, and I was just like, "Oh, I love him already," because they look the same. Yeah. But I think. And what about you? Are you from a performing background or
no?
Not
Sing in the shower, Mel. That's literally it. I can be quite theatrical and dramatic, but I'm definitely not from a theatre background, and neither is my partner. So. I think we're kind of one of those freakish families where the children kind of came along and could both sing and dance and perform, but everybody always says, "Oh, well, did they get it from you?" And we're like, "No, definitely have no idea where it's from." And Theo, who was also young Simba in The Lion King, he went to an open audition and went along because it was my mum's favourite musical. It happened to be on her birthday in Stockwell. So we were like, you know what, if he doesn't get anywhere, we'll just go to the Mexican up the road that we know it's really, really good. And a bit like your experience, he stayed in there, and they keep what I think parents don't realise is you go in and there's no protection of your kind of vulnerability. To you, it's absolutely everything that they get this part, but they are one of a number, and they'll just keep sending those children out, and some of the children come out okay, some of them come out crying because they're very upset,
it's their dream,
and then the parents start crying sometimes, and then you're sort of sat there thinking, well, where are they? I often thought, is Theo still here? Because I haven't seen him come this way, but he could, to all intents and purposes, be out that way.
Right.
Is he still here?
Right.
Obviously, that's a joke. They were very well looked after.
Yeah, and if you don't see your child straight away, it means they're in the next round.
Exactly.
This is going well.
Exactly. And then he came out holding a bit of paper, and they said, you now need to go to Sylvia Young and have the next round. But on that bit of paper said, considered for tour. And I was like,
okay, that's a whole nother dimension.
That's not going to happen. You're not going anywhere. You are 8. You are not leaving my side. He'd only at that point been away for one night without me. And we both said, this might be the end of the road. And then my dad and my husband's mum said, if he gets this, you can't take that away from him. You have to allow him to explore it. And he did, of course. Right. And he went off on tour. And
he did the tour.
He did the tour before the West End. So he went off to Bristol first, and he went to train in Bristol for 6 weeks over the summer holidays. And the first week he was away, I think I cried every single day that he wasn't there. It was awful.
No, of course,
it was terrible.
Of course. Because you mentioned that your son is going to be going off to New York.
Yeah, he's. I know, but the thing is. Immediately after The Lion King, he got another job. He thought acting was easy.
Yeah,
he was like, I'll get another one.
And
so I know. So he went on tour with The Bodyguard, and he was 1 week on, 1 week off. So by Thursday of every week he was away. I was like, where's my Sam? But he got very good at packing.
Yeah,
and he became.
They do.
And he became grown up in his sense earlier than he should have. Right. But so now he goes to a boarding school to do dancing. So he's away again all the time. I was saying that he's back most weekends. Yeah. But he's very used to it. So now the thought of him going to New York is such a change. Yeah. But I know he'll be fine. Okay. He's that guy.
He's prepped for it. He's prepped for it.
13 going on 24.
Oh, and you mentioned as well, so you've got another son who's not in the creative field, but also is a young...
He's a footballer. So we've gone through the academy of one academy, and now we're moving to another academy after they bought him. Right. And so as from when his GCSEs finish, he will be all intents and purposes, a professional player. They're called scholars.
Yeah.
And they have a 2-year scholar and they get paid. So, I said, I'm going to charge him rent.
Yeah.
And he went, what?
Going to be buying you the house, right?
Eventually. What? I want better training. But so, we're a gang, the three of us, and so all sort of decisions and things, they're making their way.
Right.
We were very lucky. I said earlier that unfortunately their mum died a few years ago, and Max was playing football and we fell into the football family, and that helped him so much.
Yeah,
and me, I suppose, but at the same time, he had that. And then Sam fell into the Lion King family, and that was just joyous. It filled his mind. We're talking about theatrical sort of stories, but as a sort of a human side of it, Sam grew up in a really, really lovely environment thanks to some really lovely people who work at the Lion King.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I would say that as parents, we're always proud, whatever performance they're in, even if it's rubbish. We're like,
That's our job. Yeah, we love everything they do.
The other side of it for him is that the one time we ever talk about missing mummy is if he's doing something new and he wishes he could see it.
Yeah, of course.
So all of this journey for him has happened after she's gone. So that's tragic for, but at the same time, it's very, he's chosen this path and he's rocking, he's doing it.
But I think you need the other families as well within the experience, whatever you're doing. You have friends in your, quote, normal life who know your child. They don't experience what you're experiencing and they don't, they get to see hopefully the really lovely part of, we had so many people come and watch Theo and Cece when she was in Tina. So everybody was really, really supportive. But I think the parents who you meet, who you go through that journey with, particularly when we went into the West End, it was COVID. So you remember that?
I mean, that was a time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a time,
gosh.
But so I think that experience is good if you have a strong group.
I'm a rarity of a theatrical dad.
Right.
But there were 3 mums and me, and we would go drinking in the cocktail bar that opened right next to the stage door. We were often found in there. I've been on holiday with one of them. Of course, their family are the same age. Well, it's actually Ava, who was Sam's Nala. And they have an older son that Max was friends with, and we're sort of like an extended family.
Yeah.
And the other 2.
Lovely.
But I remember the last day, it's their last performance. Yeah. But all the parents went out and a few aunties and things.
Yeah.
And, some of the speeches, we all bought presents for one another. And it was like, I might have been elderly, 50-something, but I made 3 friends.
So you mentioned as well that your daughter is in the performance. So how does this work if you've got 2 children at the same time in a show?
So what happened with us was Theo was in the West End in Lion King. He actually got too tall to continue, so his contract finished. And I was like, brilliant. Okay, I've been up in the West End 4 nights a week, a couple of Saturdays, double shows.
Yeah.
Trying to work in the evenings, trying to pack everything in, and I'll just have a break now. And then literally the day after he finished, I got a phone call from Cece's agent saying she's got an audition for Tina.
Like, no, another travel card.
Oh my God. So she went to that and she got it. So then 6 weeks later, I was back into that. And actually, the mistake I made first time round was getting a taste card and going to restaurants and eating. So this time I joined a gym and I got fit and I did lots of walking. But the challenge for us, I think, is that coming home, I would literally, have a child who was tired. I was tired. Yeah. My husband's been at home with the other child, looking after them. And you are literally like ships in the night. Yeah. And your whole diary, because of that weekend work, I mean, you'll know what that's like.
I know, girl.
I know.
Weddings, ships in the night.
Christenings, you can't commit to anything.
No.
You're going to parties and you're not bringing the one that's performing because they're on stage, and then you can't stay because you've got to go and pick them up. It's a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, as parents, that must be really, look, we'd do anything for our children, right? Yeah. But I guess that must be so difficult in a way because you are having to put your own things on hold or, like you say, best friend's wedding. Sorry, my son's got a double show. I can't be there. Like how have you found that?
When in Lion King, he had to have his hair short because he's got a big afro. So when we went to a hairdresser's once and he was having the cane put in, that one of the ladies said, what does your dad do? And he said he's a taxi driver. And I just walked in through the door on that one, and I went, I'm not.
Really not.
I'm more than that.
I am your taxi driver. Which I pretty much am both their taxi drivers. You know?
So as parents, we're not just responsible for aiding our child in, experiencing their dream job and what they want to take out of this industry, but also it's really important in an adult field. How do we then look after the child's well-being? Like, has there been any experiences from either of your children in this industry that you felt, hang on, their well-being has not really been thought of or met or anything like that?
Particularly when they get into more well-known roles, the experience they can have with people who are watching them, it can sometimes be a little bit challenging. After Theo did Mufasa, he had somebody impersonating him online. Wow. So we discovered that, and it was an absolute nightmare to try and get that account taken down. And unfortunately, the person who was impersonating him was 36, had a whole history of mental health issues, and had been posting lots of quite racist and misogynistic stuff online. And then, my child's photos that we've been posting on his Instagram account and all of his videos have been literally transferred across onto this account. So to the naked eye, it looked like that was Zoë Somolu's Twitter account. And actually it wasn't. But I think nowadays within the industry, there is so much safeguarding. You have to advocate very, very strongly for your kids. And I think that potentially it definitely didn't happen to us. And I can't imagine it would happen to you, but some parents can get a little bit starstruck. And so therefore, if they see an opportunity, that opportunity looks so amazing and they're so in it for their kids that they don't perhaps look around the edges and really see, what is going on. And you do have to be very, very aware.
When you're giving your child to a company, whatever it is, commercial, film, stage, the chaperone is the most important person. When he went on the next tour, we had an awful chaperone that caused Sam to be very upset quite often.
Oh my gosh.
And we had some occasions where they had local chaperones.
Right.
And that didn't know the rules really. I think it's important as a parent to recognise all the trappings, because you can get caught up in just the process, but also you have to take some enjoyment factor out of it as well. But I've seen parents that are doing the same job after my son, and they think they're in the show. They might as well sign in at stage door. It's like it's really annoying. Hilarious. The other thing about it, if I was going to say advice to a parent, is trust your child.
Right,
because they've got their job for a reason. Okay. So just trust that they will be able to do it. We went through the lines, but I never would give him...
You wasn't trying to live your life through your child, which I guess sometimes that can happen, right? Because maybe that parent, they didn't ever make it. And so it's like, you will make it for me, you'll make it for me, not for you, but for me.
Exactly.
The amount of self-tapes that Sam...
I hate doing self-tapes for my kids.
There was one for a big part in a Hollywood movie. And he had to be terrified of the dad who was going to turn into a werewolf, right? And he would just do it so cool. And I'm like, dude, the dad's a werewolf. And I was like, can we just do it again and again and again? And it got rather irritating to the point where there was a light balanced on a step ladder in the front room. And I knocked it and it smashed and made all this loud noise. And he was like, Dad. And I was like, just do it.
That's the werewolf.
And then he did this brilliant performance. I was like, thank you.
Booked, mate, booked.
Exactly, right, 100%. But yes, it's not your job, it's theirs. You are there just to facilitate it and enjoy it with them and have as much respect for the people who are also doing that job. But like you say, be aware of all those things that you have to be aware of. Contracts and all the people you work with.
Because I wanted to ask you, Zoe, like obviously just going back to what you mentioned before, like, so your child went on to do the Mufasa movie.
Yes.
And even just knowing that an adult was trolling your child. How do you deal with that? Like, as a parent, do you kind of go, look, maybe we should go down the doctor-lawyer route because this is too much? Like,
I mean, that did cause me quite a few sleepless nights. And And the process of trying to get somebody's account closed down is actually incredibly hard. I mean, our agent had to send Theo's contract in the end to X or Twitter because they would not believe. I sent his passport, my passport. I'm his mother. This is not him. He's 14.
Yeah.
And the social media part of things probably adds more of a danger now than perhaps what the younger cast would have experienced 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, with things like Instagram. We've made a choice that we're not going to allow them to have social media until they're 16.
Good shout.
So the only Instagram account that is there for Theo is one that I look after. And I've just had to say to them, particularly for Theo, you've been in a Hollywood movie, you've had a profile, and if you post something that is seen to not quite be right, I don't want that to be in the stratosphere and be something that is going to affect you. So let's just keep away from it.
And it's interesting because he still wants that, even though he's been through the trolling.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get a curious mind and you're like, I want to know what they're saying about me. Even if it's negative, I want to hear what they're saying, rather than just going, do you know what?
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. They can slag me off behind my back. I don't need to see it.
When I Always Wanted a Brother went viral on TikTok, I was obsessed with it. I used to look at all of the commentary and see what people were saying. And 90% of it was really, really positive. And then I would see the people kind of taking the piss out of the way, said, brother.
But surely he was told to sing it that way anyway, no?
Of course, by Lin-Manuel Miranda, of all people.
If Lynn says it, then I'm doing brother. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
Who am I to disagree with Lynn?
Yeah.
I think people post things and they don't realise that there's a real child a real parent and a real father and mother and a sister and a grandparent. You don't realise that actually there's a real person there who's reading those commentaries. And you could argue, well, we put our children into performing, so we have to accept that they are in the public eye and they're there to be critiqued to a certain extent. But, they're kids.
But
so
they're children. And also, it's not even really about putting them in the public eye. Like, this is what your child wants to do.
Yeah.
And so you're going to support what they want to do. And unless, of course, you are a pushy parent who's like, please live my dream for me.
Exactly.
Like, most of the times, it's what your child gravitates to, and you just go, okay, I'm going to support that. I mean, how was it for Theo? Like, did it put him off wanting to do this, or?
So that's a very interesting, timely question, because he's actually reached a stage in his career where he's doing his GCSEs, so he has to focus on those. And I remember a friend a few years ago when he did the film saying to me, gosh, it must be really amazing to know what your child is going to do when they grow up. It's like, what do you mean? And they said, well, they're going to be an actor, aren't they? I said, listen, they might not be. He might be sat in a pub in 10 years' time saying, you hear that song? That's me.
Yeah, that was me.
But I work in a bank now.
Yeah,
he actually, I think the big thing for him was he started in theatre when he was 8 and he finished the film. The film came out when he was 14. That's nearly half his life.
Yeah.
And so from his perspective, he obviously has parents that have said no social media. That sets him apart from other people. He's been going into the West End 3 or 4 times a week, been missing out on stuff and birthday parties.
Yeah.
Now he's in a film with a profile. So I'm saying to him, no, you can't go and, stand on a street corner and hang out with your mates. And, we're not complete, authoritarians. We let him have fun, but you do have to be a bit more careful.
Yeah, you do.
His voice broke. So his singing voice changed. And he got to the stage where he said, you know what, I just want to have a little bit of a break from it. And I'm glad that you say, about the pushy parent thing. I think parents who can't cope with their child making that decision have to look at themselves because they're their own human being that we have brought onto this earth, and they will make their own decisions, and we can try and corral them down various routes.
But not push them.
The thing is strange that I think we haven't mentioned, or maybe they have agents.
Yeah.
They're kids with agents who are making money off my children.
Yeah.
And there's a pressure on them to be profitable.
Yeah,
and
course,
so, but the only thing, if anyone listens to this is thinking, is just try and get a relationship with whoever that agent is.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because also I think, especially raising boys, I've got a girl and a boy, and at the teenage years, is it cool to be doing that? Like, do you tell your mates, oh, by the way, like, because they're at that age where either it's not cool anymore.
Well, their mates don't care. That's the thing.
Right.
So we all, as
Right.
parents and adults and teachers, like we had the same experience when the school comes to watch
Yeah.
your child in The Lion King, but your 9-year-old mate who's playing football with you doesn't care.
Right.
In fact, they might not even know what Lion King or Tina or whatever is. They have no interest in it.
I think some of the kids might care about the money in their bank because it's like, you got what for what?
Yeah.
But with Max being older than Sam, his mates think Sam's super cool.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
And so
okay.
Sam and Max thinks he's got a cool brother.
Yeah.
Max is cool at a footballer. Sam thinks he's got a cool brother.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It works
it's nice.
both ways.
Oh, that's lovely.
I would only say the downside of that final few years of primary school, because you're so busy, I think he grew up out of the age bracket he was in.
Right.
Because he was mixing with grown-ups. He would rather come and see you than someone that he was in primary school.
Age.
Yeah. And so now when he comes back from boarding school, half term, his peers live all around the country, not necessarily London based.
Yeah.
So when Max has got his old school crew that he can go and play with, Sam's like, where am I going? What am I doing? Walking around Battersea Park looking for them, So it is a different. You have to. I said, don't worry. When you come back to London and you get a job, all life changes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things to navigate through. That's not negative, but just things to think about.
Yeah, it just must be really hard because it's teenage years are the pivotal age where you got to make sure that you're trying to steer your child down the right path, and the influences are more from their friends rather than you.
Even fashion.
Yeah.
And the look they have.
But then you sort of think when they're in an adult environment, like that influence is different, but is it a positive or negative? I mean, I know from like my children and the work that they've done, like some schools are not really behind it. They're kind of thinking, well, it's they shouldn't be mixing in the adult world.
Yeah.
But in another way, it kind of helps them grow up and take responsibility, be on time.
Absolutely.
There's a lot.
I think as well, having biracial children. So my daughter going into Tina, obviously having a white parent, white mum, she went into Tina and was surrounded by strong female women of colour. So for her, that was absolutely brilliant. And I saw a change in how she even thought about her hair.
Love that.
Just, I saw that total change in her in the 6 months that she was in that environment. And for me, I can't identify with her on that because I don't have, the reason I have curly hair now is because...
Product.
Roger, I'll have you know my hair is all natural. But I will tell you that I let it go curly because she got bullied for her afro hair. And I said, you need to love your curls. And she said, well, you straighten yours. So I was like, okay, I'll get rid of those GHDs. And I've never looked back.
No, that's good.
But she definitely needed to be around women who were, like her, looks like her.
Yeah.
100%. What a brilliant point. But Sam belongs to, he used to go to the Royal Ballet School.
Yeah.
And from that, he got picked because he's biracial to dance for a company that used to be called Chance to Dance.
Okay.
Once a year, they do a massive performance at the Royal Opera House. And once a month, from about November, they come and do one rehearsal. And these people are from 17, 18 down to 10.
Right.
Okay? And they're all of colour. And the director, the choreographer, the producers, they've all come. And the first time he was there, he oozed with this sort of like, I identify. It was so important because I look like I do.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because obviously you're raising Sam by yourself and having, a white parent and raising a mixed child. I think that's really nice that he's in an environment where there are other people there that he can identify with, and the same with your daughter as well.
I can do everything but hair.
And Sam had a lot of hair. Has he still got the hair?
No, but the first time he ever had his afro cut, he cried for 2 days with the words, I've lost my identity.
Well, but I was going to say that though, because it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it is your identity in a way. And I think, maybe they get to an age where it's like, oh, I don't want people touching my hair anymore, so I'm just going to cut it off. But no, I think I love the fact that Sam has someone to identify with. I remember when I was at university and I was studying dance, and the teacher would say, you know, tuck under. And I'm like,
Oh my
wait,
God.
you're talking to a black girl with a bootay.
We've had the
I can't
same
tuck
conversation
under.
with my
I'm
daughter at
tucked.
ballet. Like, what is that about?
You know, our physique is it's different.
Yeah.
You know, and so we've moved on, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how Sam found it being a person of colour in
up north.
Well, not up north, but
okay.
Well, I don't know. Tell me.
School he goes to, there's very few, and he's had incidents that he
Right.
never had before because we're Londoners and we all live on, all
Right.
together. But he knows who he is through other experiences. You know, when he's training, I think you're just another one of the
Another dancer.
Yeah, another dancer.
Yeah.
But I think being biracial is such an amazing thing to be because he'll go to a party and will lead the candy dance. He'll do all the, he knows all that. But yeah, we've had some incidents which aren't very nice.
And it's sad, isn't it? You just sort of think you're putting your child in an industry where people can comment. So I love the fact that your children are not on social media because it is opening them up to, keyboard warriors, basically.
There's jealousy, there's bullying, there's all of the things that could happen because they are of a raised profile compared to that person.
Yeah.
But I think hopefully it's down on your child to just be able to either handle it or not look for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Roger, Zoe, thank you so much for joining me on the lovely mustard couch today.
Beautiful.
I was going to wear this colour.
No, thank you so much for taking your time out to join me. And I know you've got to shoot off now and pick up Max.
See your taxi
The
driver
taxi
bit.
Uber.
Might as well.
Thank
I'm
you
not
so
charging
much.
any as money.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You've been listening to the Stronger Self podcast, hosted by me, Martay McKenzie, and produced by Sammy Arts Collective, and filmed and edited by T Films. The Stronger Self podcast is part of Sammy Arts Collective's Creative Futures programme and created in collaboration with T Films. Find us on social media at Sammy Arts Collective.